The elderly are one of the most vulnerable groups in South Africa, prone to neglect and abuse, and should be kept top of mind for many of us during this lockdown. We speak to Barry Kegerson, CEO of Aurea Senior Living, on the standards of elderly care in South Africa.
People sometimes mistake care for medical care. Care for the elderly is actually assistance with activities of daily living. So what are activities of daily living? It's things like moving around, bathing, hygiene, eating, medication management, things like that. Not necessarily, or not at all, acute medical care. That's something provided by the medical healthcare system. So that's what we mean by care for the elderly. People between the ages of 75 and 84, 17% of them would need assistance with one or more activities of daily living. When one gets to the age of 85 and over, this is where it starts getting interesting, 40%, 40, of people need assistance with one or more activities of daily living, 40%. Now, if one takes the current population versus the projected growth in population of those people over the age of 80, that would imply that currently approximately 60 million people globally require some kind of what we define as care. And within the next 30 years, that number of 60 million is going to climb to just under 170 million. That is why it's so important to be able to provide quality care to the elderly. What's happened here in the last couple of years in South Africa and longer overseas is that these senior living communities, as they are now, are very attractive places to be from a number of perspectives. Aesthetically, they're very well designed and they're beautifully appointed. But more importantly, they have much higher levels of hospitality and care than people used to have in the past. So what happens is it becomes more of an attraction rather than a last default option. And I think if you were to ask me what should the role of families be, I think it should, one could say, well, the families must look after the elderly. But I don't think that necessarily achieves the objectives. And why do I say that? Because people have certain needs. They have a need for care, but not all of them. But what most older people have is a need for socialization, engagement, intellectual stimulation, and that generally is best provided by non-family members. Why? Because you want to be with your friends. It's great to be with your family, but you can't be with them all the time.
Being on lockdown doesn't mean that you can't make any friends, especially with those who carry with them decades of wisdom ready to share just at the touch of a button. All you need to do is rent a grandparent.
We have decided to launch a movement called Rent-a-Grandparent, which is basically a virtual initiative to create a modern pen pal to bring a grandparent and a friend together. It's really an add-on where we are an intermediary platform that connects people and that also does vetting, because it's very important that the elder are, of course, safeguarded. So specifically, we are vetting the volunteers to sign up. At the same time, what we suggest or what we say is best is if a smartphone is available, or of course laptop, desktop, but any smartphone would be great because that allows exactly what we are doing now, a video call. If it's not available, we also say a normal phone call can happen. We can even go as far back as to share addresses if that's desired, and we go back to the pen pal. Yeah, it is really about interaction, about social stimulation, combating loneliness. In our day and age nowadays, luckily smartphones are relatively widely distributed. Most of the elder we serve are on WhatsApp and are actually familiar with WhatsApp video calls. So we can't underestimate how savvy actually already a lot of people are, but also to span knowledge across generations and intermingle generations to talk to each other again more. Yeah? And we've seen the need for that already before, but due to the COVID-19 situation now, we've just noticed that it's now or never to launch this initiative. Because right now it's obviously even more relevant with more restrictive measures for elders being taken in terms of social isolation. And we are also partnering with retirement villages to that face the same challenges, where it can't be that many visitors coming in anymore. There is social isolation. So we are looking for partnerships to increase the rate of the elder, of course, to sign up. So we can, in fact, then do the perfect matchmaking from our side and bring friends and grandparents together.
My name is Chef Coco, and you are watching Joburg Today.